Hello, my name's Jim, and this is my wonderful wife, Carla. So wonderful, she makes me stutter and I forget it. This is another episode of A Journey of Life, Love, and Lessons.
Yes, and we are so excited that you have joined us for this episode. We have an incredible guest that she is amazing. She's doing great things. And Beverly Brown is our incredible guest today. And we're so excited to have her. And I'm going to read a little bit about her bio, and then we'll get to know her more throughout this process in the episode. So Beverly Brown is the Dreamsteerer. I love that, by the way. Consultant, inspirational speaker, best-selling author, event and talk show host, mentor, writer, actor, and her company is Creative Consulting Dreams. She is the founder and instructor of Dreamsteerer Academy and host of Creative Consultant Dreams inspirational talk show YouTube channel. She is a #1 best-selling co-author of Empowering Women to Succeed and 3 self-published books entitled You Can Do It, Whatever It Is, the graduates of Dreamsteerer Academy and Dare to Be Different, Dare to Be You. She has been featured on various TV and radio shows and a contributing writer to numerous magazines. She's an actor in the BRC Theater Group and board member. Overflow Missions nonprofit organization, as well as a member of many others. She is the dream steerer, a person that steers you towards your God-given dreams and vision, a 2-time breast cancer survivor, and a believer that through God, all things are possible. Wow. Yeah, that is a lot. And just the cancer survivor in itself is just a miracle in itself for God, but to use that time and to utilize your gifts and talents to be able to steer other people into their gifts and to their talents is amazing. And so welcome, Beverly Brown, to this episode. We're so excited you're here.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jim and Carla. I'm excited to be here. So happy that I met you guys in Canada, and I hopefully we'll be talking about that as well. Thank you for having me as a guest, and I'm just honored to be here.
Yes, it's an honor for us to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became the Dreamsteerer?
Wow, but really cut that one short. It's definitely something God has destined me to do. But just as you said, I'm a mother. I was a teenage mother at the age of 15. So that's when I had my daughter. And it's like my journey really started going from there because, completing high school and doing everything I needed to do that, going to college and having a great family. In the process, of course, I'm from New Orleans. So in the process of being in New Orleans and the life that New Orleans leads you to do sometimes, and then going to corporate America, just like I said, finding myself in the process. One of the last jobs that I was at was actually selling cell phones. You guys remember when cell phones were a brick? That's just how far along when it first came that I started with a cell phone company at the time. And the cell phone company used to send me out to small mom and pop stores that were just establishing themselves. And it was amazing because I would go to the stores and I'd look at their stores and I say, you need to do this at your store. You need to do this to market your store. I mean, I would put the phones aside and I would give them a consultation on what they needed to do to focus on what they needed to do for their business. And each time I did it, it just got bigger. And then they were saying, well, why don't you just start your own business, consulting people for that. And, make it very long story short, that's pretty much where it started. And after that, I got into network marketing. I decided to step out on my faith and say, okay, I'm going to start my company, which was Creative Consulting and Consumer Services at the time. And that's what I did. And after that, the breast cancer happened after. I ended up going to Cleveland, Ohio after Katrina. Mm-hmm. And that's where I birthed what's called the Dreamsteerer. And people were saying, what's a dream steerer? It's a person that steers you towards your God-given goals, dreams, and vision. So I birthed it there. I birthed Dreamsteerer Academy there because I wanted to teach more people at one time. And after that, I ended up getting breast cancer a second time. And this is where I came to Arizona to move with my daughter and my grandchildren to, and I rebirthed it again here in Arizona. as the Dreamsteerer, and then I started my Dreamsteerer Academy classes as well. So that's pretty much how it is. It was just a God-given gift that God just said, this is who you are, a person that steers people towards their God-given goals and dreams.
Right. And it sounds like it was kind of a natural gift in that you had because you're doing the phones, but you kind of set that aside. And it's like your real talent came out, you know. And I believe a lot of times that we make things more complicated than what it is because there's people who know who has those talents, but they're searching way out here for something like with you. It just came out naturally, you know. I want to help you. I want to help you to grow, to improve this. And so, you know, what do you find, you know, through a lot of people? Does it seem like it's, you know, sometimes you could probably see more than what they can, you know, maybe, but you kind of help to discover. So does it seem like, you know, people try to make it more difficult, you know, than, you know, it really has to be? Discovering is kind of uncomfortable at times. It can be uneasy at times. Awareness that comes along with it, but kind of what is the beginning process that you kind of like help people to start discovering it?
Well, I call it the A to Z syndrome. People are always, if you're a visionary, you kind of see something that you might want to do in life. And I'm at A, like, okay, you need to start here in order to get to the Z. And then you have those that have no idea what it is that they want to do. You know, that process that I just broke down in 2 minutes, you know, took me 40 years to get there. And it's easier said than done. But the part is that if you're listening to God along the way, He's guiding your path. So yeah, when believe it or not, when I went to those stores, I actually felt rejected because the phone companies, they were sending other people out to big stores like Circuit City, the big national chains, and they chose me to go into the neighborhoods. I'm like, oh, this is a little bit unfair. I'm not going to be racial or prejudiced about it. But I ended up going to mom and pop stores and they were going to retail stores. I felt like, wow. But that's where my gift started. If I had gone to the big retail stores, I would have not been able to do it because they would have said, you have to have your platform here. You have to do this. Whereas I ended up going to the neighborhood stores and they were listening to me. I mean, they sit there attentively like, what do I do next, Miss Beverly? What do I do next? They look forward to me coming to their stores because they knew I put the phones where they needed to go. It's like, let's talk about your store.
Yeah.
So sometimes God has to birth it in you as a process. But if you're taking a step each time and listening to what He's telling you to do, it becomes uncomfortable. It's like, oh, I don't think that's the right move for me to make. And then you find out that's exactly the move that He wants you to make. And that's what people really, if you get that part, just to find out that let me just do this step first.
Right.
God will definitely just continue to just feed your path and feed your path and feed your path.
Right. And it's great that you acknowledge, you know, that, you know, sometimes we don't think this is where we should be at. This is not where I want to be at. You know, I want to skip these steps. I want to go up to here when I should start here in order to be successful. Because I believe God sets us up for success. I think that, you know, He puts us where we need to be because of He wants us to succeed. And a lot of times we want to skip that line, just go up a little bit more in this line because I know I'm good. I don't want to be here. I want to be up here. But God knows exactly, as Father knows best, you know, He knows, you know, what we need and, you know, just wants us to, you know, as He says in the word, you know, God just wants good things for our life. And so following His voice, following His word, you know, I believe will help us to go find our gifts and lead us to people like you that are helping to find that process to be able to grow.
Absolutely. And a lot had to do with it. Like I said, I have the Dream Giver book. This is the book that changed my life. You know, I read this over 20 years ago, and the name was Dream Giver. I couldn't take the name of the book. So my God told me, like, okay, steer people towards their dream. I'm like, okay, dream, steer. Oh, I'll just become a dream steerer.
Yes.
And the part is the process starts with making a step first. You
Right.
don't know what it's going to lead to. Yes, it may seem like it might be the wrong direction. And this is actually what I teach at the academy. And this book explicitly shows you how you have to go through obstacles. You have to go through different things that you don't want to do. Oh, can I tell you how many things you don't want to do that you will have to do in order to get out of your comfort zone, in order to proceed towards your dream? Because your dream is never in your comfort zone.
No,
It will always be in your uncomfortable situation that God is stretching you to become the person that you need to be.
absolutely.
It reminds me about myself. Quite a few years ago, had a job where I worked on photocopiers. And I did that for several years. And I was like, I want to use my brains instead of bronze. And so my sister had a friend that was working in computer type of stuff. And I said, let me do that. And the only thing I knew about computers is you turn them on and open up Word or open up Excel. That's it. And but I got a job in that field and I didn't know nothing about it. I was uncomfortable, but I knew it was something that I wanted to do. So I put myself around people that were a lot more familiar with it. And then years down the road, around 2008, 2007, when people were losing their jobs and companies were closing, I worked for a local hospital, and the company was growing and hiring people. And it took me a moment, and I realized, if I was choosing my path and where I wanted to go, I wouldn't have chosen me to be here. But all these other things beforehand brought me to be at this point where I provide for my family. But I didn't see me being there at that time, and I was like, wow, what God does, what you think for one thing and do for another.
Exactly. He has a purpose for, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And so, I mean, just, do you see that, I guess someone like, Carla was saying, that I guess you may have that inspiration within yourself, maybe where you're at now, you didn't see where you'd be there, but things you went through brought you up to that. I mean, I guess it also sounds like, God had a perfect thing for you going to the small mom and pop stores.
Of course.
Opened up the doors for we like, why am I here?
Right.
But do you share that with other people, and did that relate to people that you talk to, when they're like, why am I doing something so small when I have such a bigger vision for myself?
That's my whole thing. That is who I am for the Dreamsteerer. Nothing you've done is a waste.
Right.
And in the book, it tells you about being in the wasteland. The wasteland is your period of discovery, of uncovering yourself. For the Dreamster Academy, it's to uncover who you are, discover who you presently are, and then also to find out how you need to develop it. So mainly, I would say uncover the past, because a lot of times we've done things in the past that we think were wrong, or and trust me, everybody has. And you think it wasn't the right thing to do, and then you find out that it had something to do with your growth and your potential for who God is molding you for. That's exactly what I teach at the academy. How you uncover, I call it the muck, how you uncover what you did in the past and why did it happen to you, and you find out that it was for your advantage, even though it seemed at that time that it was to your disadvantage.
Right.
So those are the steps that I go through. We're going to uncover what's in the past, find out why it happened to you. And some of it is so tawdry, and on the stories that I hear, it just makes you find, boggles your mind, the stories that people have gone through in their lives and still are there pursuing what they need to do. And it's because of their ability of seeing the vision of saying, I know God has something purpose for me. He has a purpose for every living soul on this earth.
Right.
And we all have to go through those trials, those errors, those tribulations, those things where I don't know what I'm doing in order to pursue what God needs you to do. He doesn't give you the book ahead of time. He says, do what I say, do what you feel in your heart, because your spirit is going to guide you. You're going to question it all the time. It's like, what do you mean? I want to go here. Just like when, Hurricane Katrina hit and I was sitting on the sidewalk that day. I call myself, I was in a storm on the day of the storm. I had started my business. I lost my car. I was taking clients, not accepting payments. And before you know it, I'm losing my house. I'm losing my car. The day before Katrina, I'm actually sitting outside like, my God, where am I going? The people were asking to move me out of the house. I didn't know where I was going to go. And I'm telling you, on the day before the storm, I was in a storm. And, luckily I ended up going by my brother's house and staying with him. But the flood and everything else, it was a whole nother story. It wiped away what I had. So I ended up going to Cleveland, Ohio. And when I tell you Cleveland, Ohio, kicking and screaming, I'm like, what do you mean Cleveland? Why can't I go to Texas? Why can't I go to Atlanta? Why can't I go to California? What do you mean Cleveland? I hate the cold. I want to do it. Kicking and screaming like Jacob. I don't want to go to Cleveland, but that's the only door that he opened. And I had to walk through it, or otherwise my dream would not have enveloped and developed the way it was supposed to. And what I thought was going to be a 1 or 3 week trip, it ended up being 8 years of my life.
Oh,
And I
wow.
got my host, and that's where I developed becoming the Dreamsteerer. He had to pull me away from New Orleans, which I have to tell you was very distracting to be there,
Mhm.
and put me in a whole nother place to focus on just what the dream that he had for me. And
Right.
that's what happened. And when I tell you went kicking and screaming, like, don't even like Ohio. I went there before and I hated it. And it ended up changing my entire life because I took the step, because I listened.
Yeah,
But you
and
have
I
to
believe
take the step.
that's important, just taking that first step, because there's a lot of people are just stuck, and like you say, you was kicking and screaming, going to a place that was unfamiliar to you, but it was exactly where you needed to be. And for 8 years, you were in that growth stage that, I did not want to come here, but it was so beneficial to my growth and to my future. And I think a lot of times people does that, in just their life, they refuse, or they just kick and scream going to the very place that God's trying to bless them with, and we can't see the future. So it's the faith, I believe, of knowing that God knows what's the future and we don't. So to be able to have that trust in him, to like, okay, I'm just going to have to go. And that's kind of hard in our natural, right? To be able to just have that faith. And when we don't know what is ahead, but God does, but that is faith in order to continue to go. And, I know you help people to find their God-given purpose. And I love that statement. We have something like that as well. But, how strong and where did it really feel like it grounded in you and in your faith and just being solid and stable into what you're doing?
Absolutely. Before I left New Orleans, I had started the consulting business, and my faith was right there. It's like, okay, well, I'm stepping out. I stepped away from a job. It was a corporate job. I was traveling. I was doing great things. I think the family was very disappointed in me that I would take a walk away from a job, talking about I'm starting my own business, which most dreamers are in the same way. People are wondering, why are you stepping out from something that's concrete? You get your paycheck, you do what you need to do, and you're taking a step of faith. Well, it's a big step of faith. So I started my business right there in New Orleans, and that was my step of faith. But like I said, the trials of me doing my passion, because the other part of your passion, money is not what drives you. It's the passion of what it is that you want to do to accomplish what you need to do.
Right.
But then I'm not going to say money doesn't drive people. Money does drive some people in a different sense. I will never say that. I found that out. But the passion for me helping the person overrode my financial status. And that's where I ended up, losing my house, losing the car. And then Katrina hit, brought me all the way to a place that I had no intentions of being, but it was to remold me. So what solidified my faith there is after 2 or 3 weeks, they're like, we find a place to stay. It's like, move here. I'm like, what? What do you mean move here? I don't know the people. Anyway, so I ended up bringing my stuff back and whatever else I had left, and I moved to Ohio. That was my biggest step of faith, moving somewhere where I didn't even know people. And God just opened the doors to so many people till I actually have another family now
Wow.
in Ohio that I can call sisters. I mean, a mega church that I joined, the Word Church. I amassed a spiritual family
Mhm.
that started helping and taking care of me and doing things that I needed to do to succeed. And that was the step of faith of saying, you know what, I am going to move to Ohio away from family and just develop who God needs me to be. And when I tell you, he tore me down to when he takes you down, he takes you down. I mean, I'm a college graduate. I had education. My first job was working at a pet store because I couldn't find a job.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
even like pets. Excuse the expression, but I don't have any. I ended up working at a pet store. And when I tell you I had to clean guinea pig uh, glass things and rabbit poop and everything. When I tell you he'll take you down and strip you down, he stripped me down. And I had to clean up cages. But guess what? Those cages were the best cages that got cleaned once I finished with them, because whatever you do for God, you do it in excellence, no matter what he assigns you to do.
Right.
And I, was an assistant manager at a pet store. Didn't have anything to do with pets, but that was just my thing. And I also had to clean apartments to earn a place to stay. I moved 5 times in Ohio. That was unfaith, going from place to place, doors opening up, saying, you can stay here, you can stay there. And then I had to start cleaning apartments to do that, because I couldn't start a consulting business there at the time. But 2 years later, boom, he awakened it in me. He said, birth the dream as the Dreamsteerer. I invited that same family of people to say, hey, I'm birthing myself as a Dreamsteerer. They're looking at me like, what's a Dreamsteerer? Come out and see.
Yeah.
And they came to my own launch. I launched myself, and the people showed up and they were amazed. And I've seen so many people launching themselves after they saw what I did, because that step of faith showed them. It's like, what's she doing coming here asking us to launch it? And I almost I made them pay. I asked them to pay to attend to launch my business, to launch me. And the support was just overwhelming. So that was just another step. I'm going to step out to be the Dreamsteerer. What's that? And then, like I said, I wanted to do an academy. He says, okay, open up academy. Somebody ended up giving me a place. Larick Calhoun ended up giving me an office space. I started my first class. That was another step of faith. So it was becoming the Dreamsteerer, then starting with the Dreamsteerer Academy. And I could go on and on again, because then a TV show was birthed out of that. So it was just me taking steps as I was listening and feeling in my spirit, that just kept leading me to doing more and more and more.
Right.
And that's truly how it starts.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome to hear all you're doing that way. And, God, like you're saying, God opens up the doors for you, or for people. It's like I've said, sometimes when people are struggling, they don't know what to do. And I remember, or I think about this most of the time when I'm walking up to go to the mall or grocery store, and they have those sliding doors. The door does not open until you're like 1 or 2 steps away from it. And while you're walking up to it, it looks like it's not going to open up. There's no opportunity. But when you get right up on it, boom, all of a sudden the door opens.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, going through what you did, I mean, what kind of advice do you give to people who may be struggling to understand their faith and their dreams and their ambitions?
That's it's so amazing that God gave me this Dreamsteerer Academy, because all of these questions is what I teach on people on how to do that. And there's a chapter that says diamonds in the desert. Diamonds in the desert is like when you see the desert of all of those sand dunes and all of those crystals of sands, and you see something that draws your attention, and you say, oh, well, let me proceed towards that. It's like seeing that diamond in the desert. So with me, it was like, oh, wow, I see myself going to Ohio, but it's not clear. I got to go through all of these sands to get to it. And then when I get there, I find out that is the diamond that I needed to get to, but I had to get past all of the sand dunes to get to find that diamond. So each step that I'm teaching them in the class is like, everything that you're going through, God is creating you to be the person that you are going to be. So don't worry about all the things that happened to your past. I mean, the molestations and the child abuse and the oh my God, so many things in people's lives that, I've found out about them. And then now they see that, what, as horrible as it may have seemed, there still was a purpose in it at the time. And it's so hard to accept it, but it is part of the journey. And not everybody has the same journey, but you have to understand it is a part of what God needs to do to mold you and to be the person that you are. So each consultation I have, each class that I have, I find out different things. I don't cookie cut what I'm saying to you. I put it and apply it to who you are and what you're going through. I don't do 5 steps. And these are the 5 steps that you need to do to proceed. No, I'm going to find out what you went through where you are presently and what do you need to do in order to move forward. So when I'm talking to them, it's like, just sit here, tell me what you went through in the past, because I'm not even going to do a consultation until I find out what happened in your past. I'm not going to say, here, let's start here. I need to find out what happened to your past to get you to where you need to go, and then you can move on. I consulted somebody for almost 2 years just on personal stuff before I started steering them towards what they really saw in their vision. It took me 2 years to just get past the muck that she had in her life. So I always tell them, so whatever you went through, you'll find out it was a part of something that you needed to do to grow. No matter how horrible it may have seemed, it was still a part of what God needs you to do in order to proceed to his dream and purpose for your life.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Like you say, it's hard to see that sometimes. I mean, I don't believe anything's, we make choices, but I think there's things that happens that God still uses somehow for the good, even though it's the ugly part of our life that we don't want anybody to know about, the things that we struggle with. But God somehow will find the way that we can release that and to use it for good to help other people as well, not just ourselves, but it's also beneficial for someone else. Are you talking about the academy? Is it something that you do virtual or in person only, or how does that work for your academy?
I've been doing the academy now for, this is my 7th class in Arizona, but I started it in Cleveland, Ohio, in a very small classroom. It was actual classroom setting, of course, at the time. Started with about 12 people, and 3 of them ended up graduating from something nobody had ever heard of. Then I got the breast cancer twice, and I ended up coming here to Arizona with my daughter and my grandkids. And he said, birth it again. So it's classroom setting. I've done it once a year for 9 weeks, once a week on Thursdays from 6 to 8. And it's based on the book. The curriculum that I created it from is from the book. It's called The Dreamsteerer, but I created my own curriculum from it. And in each session, we start from the beginning of what happened in your past, what you need, where you are presently at, and it prepares you to move forward, to seek your dream. Because we all have things inside of us, but if we don't get past what's going on presently in us, you're never able to move forward to it. So it is a 9-week course, like I said, and like I said, only 2 hours a day on Thursdays. And they graduate. I have a full-fledged graduation, and it's beautiful.
Awesome.
And they get a certified certificate saying that they're a certified dreamer at the time. And then after that, if they choose to do consultations with me afterwards to move towards their vision, we'll do that. So right now with the 7th class, transitioning through up to COVID, of course, when things went amok, I actually still graduated people during COVID. I had 6 graduates for COVID, which was incredible. And I started a Zoom and a live at the same time. So I had to get camera people in to do the Zoom, and it was trial and error, but that's what God says, do it both. And guess what it led to? This year, I'm totally Zoom. So this class that I'm doing, I'm in the 5th week. We're going into the 6th week. They're graduating in a couple of weeks, and I've changed the 9th week to a week where if they want to launch the business, they'll do it then. So right now it's virtual on Thursdays from 6 to 8 p.m. Arizona time. And like I said, I'm in my 6th class going forward, and we're in the last chapters 11, 12, and 13, going to what they have to discover for their dreams. And I just want to mention what the last titles are. We're going into a chapter that says Diamonds in the Desert, Why the Wasteland is Anything But a Waste. Then you get a surprising invitation, is how the oasis of sanctuary transforms you and your dream. And then the chapter is called The Heart of a Warrior, because now you're getting to the part, they've gone through the trials, they've told me what they've gone through, and now I'm pruning them to say, now you're a heart of a warrior, now you can proceed to follow the goal or dream or vision that God has placed in your heart to do.
Yes. I love that. That is amazing that you're doing that.
And I've had 57 people graduate through the class.
That's awesome. That is too awesome. And that's why you won the award in Canada when we was at the ceremony. I mean, just your talents that you had, I know that has to warm your heart, just to be able to know that you're making that difference and changing totally people's life and their future, not for just them, but for their family. So, you was celebrated, as a award
Absolutely.
in Canada. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was phenomenal for her to reach out, from Canada and notice me. I'm like, what? I gotta go to Canada to get an award. I'm like, I'm going. And I'm so glad that I did. And it was just amazing. Like I said, I do the work for the passion, but it's always good to know that people are noticing, and actually see, the fruits of my labor. Because like I said, I don't really pay attention to it. It was when she reached out to me, I'm like, okay, that was good. I just want to come to Canada.
Yeah, that was our first time of being in Canada too. So we loved it though. And it was great to be able to be there with you doing that, get to know you some there. And like, then we started had this talk show. And like, yeah, we need to have her on there because she's
definitely. And let's say with the 57 people that I have, graduated to the class, how they've gone on to do so many phenomenal things. I mean, they go on, and some of them have gone on and gotten their doctorates now, open up their own businesses or advanced in their businesses, or their nonprofits are doing great. I have one young lady, she had the dream already. She was just sitting on it, and she ended up getting a doctorate, an honorary doctorate, traveling to Africa, spreading her wings there. And now she's doing multiple events in different places now to help with women. And like I said, becoming doctors, first ladies, nonprofits, increasing, just seeing the growth of when they walk in the class and they're like, what is this and what am I doing? And when I tell you, in the first classes, I'm looking like, oh my God, I hope they show up for the second week. And because they're wondering, like, what is it about? And then about around the third week and the fourth week, I can see the difference in their demeanors. Like, wow, I understand what has gone on in my life. And sometimes they'll come in with one thought saying something else. And by the time the classes is over at the 8th or the 9th, it's like, wow, I have a whole nother vision that I'm ready to prepare to. But now they go with a boldness, with the confidence of saying that, yes, now I can do this. You show me what I need to do to get out of my comfort zone, how I accept who I am as the person that I am, and now what I need to do by faith for what God wants me to do. And it's just incredible. There's so many stories. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
say,
it just warms my heart every time I see them posting something like,
it's like, those are my babies.
I was gonna say it's gotta be feel real rewarding, and it sound like probably in the beginning, maybe kind of like if anybody might do something, may doubt what they can do or can't do. And then what you're sharing now, seeing 56 people, 57, something like that, graduating. How does that make you feel about yourself, of stepping out and following through, going through the trials and things? How does it make you feel about yourself, what you've accomplished and so far?
really the crazy part. I don't even think about it for myself. Just see them succeeding. And it just warms my heart to know that God gave me this special gift to pass on to someone else. And I think about that more than anything. It's like Moses, like, who am I to go talk about, get the people from Egypt? It's the same thing. It's like, who am I to be the Dreamsteerer to help steer these people to the direction that he has? So I just, every day that I'm working up, I'm thinking about what it is I need to do to move forward to help somebody else. And now I'm at the point, it's like, I now see that it's working, it's branding, and I see the fruits of the labor. And now I know God is just going to bless me for it, because I've sacrificed so much and sown seed into doing all of these things. And like I said, it was sacrificial for me. I've sown seeds into it. The financial wars haven't been there, but I still wake up knowing that every time I see somebody posting what they're going to do next, just had I call her one of my students, one of the worst was Asia, is just announcing like, I'm ready to write a book. And I finally post, I'm like, well, it's about time. I've been telling you, need to tell people about who you are. So she laughs at me because she was one of my most difficult students. And not saying difficult in a sense, but difficult from what she was going through. She had 5 children and grown and going through so much, but she came to class and she'd sit there. It's like, I read this book 3 times already. Can't we get to something else? I'm like, Asia, sit here and do what you need to do. And then at the end of the class, graduation, we invite the family to come and for her to get up there and talk and have her children see her in a different light was just, it's my reward every time I see them advancing and seeing the joy that they have in their hearts now, and seeing that now, even when they're going down or if they're experiencing something, they pick themselves back up. So that's what, like I said, I don't even think about me about it at all. It's just when I see them succeeding, it just does my heart so well.
Yeah, and I could, imagine just, the emotions you're having and that being, the struggles you go through, but seeing the impact that you have had on these people's lives and seeing them grow. I mean, that's gotta make you grow. I mean, that's, there's no words, that can describe that type of effect that,
Right.
you open yourself and you make yourself willing to impact these people. And like you're saying, sometimes you're like, are they listening? Is it you're going to get anywhere? But then you stay with it, like you're
Yes.
talking about, and then you see the fruit of your labors, and you see the rewards, and then you see the benefits of others. That's more than any, financial type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's just priceless. That I can't think of any other word. It's just priceless to even do that. And to me, that's when you're walking into your passion. That's when this is your purpose, and this is what I know God has purposed me to do. And the fact, like I said, that He would, honor me with the gift, and everybody has their own gift.
Right.
They just have to find a way to utilize it towards somebody else. And just as you said, Carla, it's never about yourself.
Right.
If you're not taking that gift and passing it on to somebody else, then you're just being a selfish person, because that's not the intent.
Right.
I'd love the reward. I'd love all the financial rewards that come in with it, and they're coming. But the part was is that, I feel it in my heart every time that I get the joy from seeing they're doing. And then when I see the trickle effect of how many people they're affecting,
Right.
that's what it's about, some of them even become certified instructors, because God say, hey, I'm going to be expanding this, so some of the graduates that says, hey guys, I'm going to need some help. I don't know where it's coming from, but could you commit to the certification program and then get certified as an instructor, so that when I do build it out, I'll have other people that are doing the same thing. So that's the amazing part about it.
It's all amazing, and what you're doing is incredible, and you have such a humble heart about it. And so, I believe that God loves to use people like that. Just like you say, Moses, he had a like, who am I? Well, you have that same kind of character. The attitude is like, really, me? Who? You sure? But he knows exactly what he's doing and who he has, in place for that, because you are an inspiration, to people around the world, and you're incredible, and you have a heart to see people grow. It's not for selfish reasons, but it's because you get joy out of seeing others walk into the God-given purpose. So thankful that you're here. And as we wrap up, we would love for people to be able to reach out to you and connect with you. So do you have a website, Facebook or Instagram? How can they connect with you?
Yes, yes, and yes. My website is creativeconsultingdreams.com. And my Facebook page is, well, I use my personal one, which is Beverly Brown, my Facebook page. And make sure they put the word the Dreamsteerer, because there are like 20,000 Beverly Brown. So if you put Beverly Brown, the Dreamsteerer, you'll find my page on Facebook. On Instagram, it's B Brown One Vision. And that's the same on TikTok as well. But my website also has all that information at creativeconsultingdreams.com.
Okay, and they have a way if they want you to be able to take your curriculum and stuff through the website.
Everything is on there. The enrollment for Dreamsteerer Academy, the ways to contact me, even my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Creative Consulting Dreams Inspirational Talk Show. I have about 15 episodes where I've talked to people about what they've gone through in their life as far as the obstacles they've faced, and then telling the stories of where they are with in order to inspire other people to move on no matter what happens in their lives. So it's about 12 episodes on YouTube, Creative Consulting Dreams Inspirational Talk Show.
Cool. So all you viewers, make sure you go to those and like and share all that information, because this is incredible stuff. So we are here to impact lives together. So Beverly has, you know, those options for you to be able to go and help her to be more of an impact to other people. So people, you know, that you can share with them, you know, and all of us need someone that can reach someone where we can't. And so I believe that God put us together as a body of Christ to be able to share and to impact the world together. It's not about one person, but it's about together. So go on there and you can check her information and be able to connect more with her, and just follow things and just learn and grow and learn from her stories, from other people's stories, so that we can just grow ourselves. So Beverly, as we close this out, we have really enjoyed, it's been an honor to have you here. Is there any closing remarks that you would like to share with others to give them advice or encouragement?
Well, I'm reading your signs, like you said, we're going through life, love, and lessons. Actually, that's exactly what we are going through constantly. We're experiencing life. You have to do it through love, and you have to be able to learn the lessons along the way. Every day that you wake up, there's a lesson for you to learn. No matter how small it may be, there is something that's there that you need to learn for that day that'll move you or lead you towards what your purpose and your passion is. And what I do want to express to people is look deep inside yourselves. There is a purpose God has for you. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't have a huge dream. And I do have to emphasize, please stop letting social media keep you from moving towards your destiny.
Right.
Everybody on social media has their own story. Do not get so enamored with their stories that you're now living their stories and not doing your own.
Right.
Develop who you are. Take the social medias, put it aside. Do not look at it for hours, and just spend the time and say, God, what is it that you want me to do? And the main way to find that out is like, hey, if you had all the money in the world to do what you want to do, what would you be doing? Not the vacation part.
Right.
What would you be doing to help somebody else? If you focus on that part, then you'll find out what God has placed in your heart to do. And you have to dig deep in order to find that. Even if it sounds like it's so ludicrous or crazy, everything that God has assigned people to do is like, you know, how does Moses say, I'm going to the Red Sea, I'm going to part it? He had no idea the sea was going to part. You don't know. Whatever that dream is, God has placed it in your heart to do. And I don't mean it has to be through consulting. You could be the best janitor in the world. Start your janitorial business. You can be the best cleaning person in the world, the best hairdresser in the world. What is it it's that you're passionate about in your heart? What would you be doing when you have no other choice or wanted to do anything else in your life? What would that be? And that's the answer that God will give you. Right. Even though it may not be fully developed, it is still something that you know that you want to be passionate about and that you want to proceed with.
Right.
That's so true. That's awesome. That's great advice there.
Absolutely.
And you know, sometimes we forget about that type of things. It's something so simple and a way to look at it. And thank you, bring that to everyone's attention. That's just that simple little task can open your eyes up to all the great possibilities that God has put in each individual's one's heart.
Yes.
And everybody has it. Everybody, no matter how small you think it is, it's
everybody.
Right.
Still created for greatness, right?
Absolutely. And putting the part, like you said, for greatness. And I don't like people to get caught up on the greatness part. Be the best of who you are. Right. Who you are, the greatness inside of you. Yes, we'll put it to you that way, because a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm just a clerk, or I'm just at a job doing. Be the best of who you are. Right. If that's something you love to do it with passion. Find the purpose in it and do it well.
Right. Absolutely.
And it will lead to, like you said, the greatness inside of you.
Right. Yep. I believe every one of us has a path to get there, and God's got it path out, and everybody's got a reason, a purpose, and following him and having that faith is absolutely key, I believe, to discovering and developing that purpose. And so, again, we're so honored to be able to have you here. We're so thankful for you to be here and to be able to just share the inspiration of hope with our viewers and to let them know that, the process that they can go through and the options that they have in order to help themselves to grow into all that God has for them as well. So we're thankful that, the viewers have joined us in the Journey of Life, Love, and Lessons talk show with Beverly Brown today. So we are thankful for you, and we will be talking to you soon.
Again, guys, thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it. I hope this goes out to millions of people on the platform. I'm going to put that in your vision that millions will see your platform. So keep doing what you do. It's always good to have persons on there to show them that real people are doing real things and that they're capable to do the same thing. So thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much. And we accept that. We will want the same. So thank you so much.
There you go. Absolutely. All right. Have a great day, everyone.